All right, this is a screencast for how to use the app Explain Everything. So Explain Everything is it has a white background with a curly E, and it's right down here by my home screen. And it's also up here on the second row next to Flipgrid. And it might look a little bit different, obviously, for you. So when I click on it to get into Explain Everything, I want you to think of Explain Everything as really like an interactive Google slide presentation, because what it allows you to do is add pictures and move things around, and also make little videos and record your voice. So the first thing to get started when you're trying out Explain Everything is to tap on the big plus button where it says New Project. So I'm going to tap on that. And then you're going to want to pick Blank Canvas, which is the one on the left side with nothing on it. It's just a clean space for you to be able to create a presentation. Once you open that, the big thing to pay attention to is the left side, because that has all of the different tools that you can use. And we're just going to walk down the tools and notice that every time I'm talking about a tool, it will be bright color purple. At the top where it says projects, there's also a word that says whiteboard 14. I'm going to click right away as I get started on the arrow down, and I don't want it to be called whiteboard 14. I'm going to have it called PE presentation. And then I'm going to hit done, and now I've recorded it as being the PE presentation. Now, in addition to that, I have buttons along the side here. So I'm going to start from the top and go down and just show you what each of these buttons does. This button here is where you can add different kinds of pictures and files. So at the top, you'll see I have where it says picture, video, browser, equation, audio. These I don't really recommend you do, because that's taking a live picture or video right within Explain Everything. Instead, I would recommend, if you want to get a picture or image, you take it ahead of time and have it in your camera roll. So let's just pretend I took a picture and I go to my camera roll. What's going to happen is all of my photos will pop up here, and these are any photos that I have taken. And I'm going to hit cancel, but I'm going to go in here. So that's existing image or video. A file, when you click on that, actually gives you access again to your photos at the top, but it also gives you access to Google Drive. So if you have Google Drive signed into your iPad, if you have a picture there or some other kind of file you want to add, you can use that one there. Clip art is anything that you want, like if you're looking for people, you can find people, you can find animals. So let's just pretend for my example, which again, I don't really have a topic, I'm just going to pick animals, and I'm going to pick cow because maybe I'm going to tell us about Wisconsin. So when I'm done putting that picture on, I can tap on the screen, and I can use my finger, and I'm actually using my finger right now, to move the image. I can also squish it or make it wider to reshape the image and kind of set it up. So the first step when you're making your presentation is to kind of create your slides. You're not worrying about moving things around or recording anything, you're just kind of adding to your slides. You also can look at recent files, and so I'm going to use those in a little bit, but that's how I would move things around. And to move things around, you use the hand. Now let's say I want to title this the words Wisconsin. I'm going to jump down here to the letter A. This is my typing button. And when I tap now on my screen, up will pop a text box. I can change the color of the font. I can change if I want it to have a border or not. I can change the type of font style, and I can press this to make it larger. So right now I'm going to make it up to 40. And I can bold it if I wanted to. And so I'm going to type the words Wisconsin. And then I'm going to hit the down button to move it. So now I have Wisconsin. I can, again, even if I wanted it bigger font than what I originally had, I can always move that around like that. So that's that tool. This tool here is your, kind of like, think of it like almost like a colored pencil or pen tool. When you click on it, you can see that you have the option for different thicknesses of line. Obviously, if you're using your finger, you want it to be a little bit thinner than thicker, because if you're going to handwrite some words, it's going to be hard to see. Though we always encourage you, if you want to write words, to do what I did, which would be to type it. Here you have your choice of how grainy you want the it to look, and it also can be changed to being more like a marker. So this is marker, this is like a colored pencil, and then the ruler is actually a way to have a nice straight line. So let's just say I want marker, and I'm going to use that ruler. And for under the word Wisconsin, I want it to be red. Now I'm going to touch on the hand. Oops. And now I'm going to move with my hand. I moved up the ruler because I want to draw a nice straight line under the word Wisconsin. And now I drew that line across. The ruler is nice because it allows you to do that without it like bouncing up and down as you write. So anytime you need a straight line or you're trying to draw shapes, what's really cool about it is you can actually move the ruler into different angles. Let me just show you this. Like I could draw a side angle, like again, if I needed a nice straight line. When I'm done using the ruler, I do have to turn it off to get rid of it. But so that's essentially the marker tool. You also have the highlighter tool, which, similar to the other one, you can change the thickness for how you want the highlight to be. And highlight would be if you already have words, but you want them to be somehow colored over. So let's just say I take a yellow highlighter and I want it to be like I'm doing some sort of thing like this. And maybe I want it to be artistic, but maybe I want to just color it in. And I didn't want to use a colored box, which I'll show you on the next slide. I could do something like that. So that's how highlighter works. It essentially highlights over something that's other words. This next button here, that's the eraser. So if you ever want to just erase one thing or something like that. So let's say I want to get rid of this white line or this red line, I can just do that. This button here is the shape button. I'm going to show you that when we get to the next slide. So how do I get to the next slide? In the bottom right, you'll see a box with a plus button. If I click on that, actually now you'll notice at the bottom, instead of just saying one slide or nothing at all, it says 2 of 2. So if I hit the arrow back, I get back to my Wisconsin slide. If I go forward, here's my blank slide. So the next step is I want to create a shape. So shapes you have options for is a box with curved corners, a circle, a straight line, an arrow, and a star. And these are nice because sometimes you want to write on top of them. Other times you might want to hide things with them. Notice that the box color right now is gray and white because that's what's selected on the left here. If I touch this, maybe I want it not to be gray on the thing. I want the yellow to be the whole thing. Maybe I want a blue border, or I don't want a blue border. I could do that. And now I have a blue border with yellow. So now all I do is touch and drag my finger, and here's my yellow box. Remember, if I go back to my T for typing, my A, if I tap here, I'm going to write the word cheese. Because again, we have cheese in Wisconsin. Now, I can either leave this box like it is, or I could lock it so that the word cheese is attached to the box. To attach something, I would click here to what's called the inspector button. When you click on the inspector button, you have a couple choices. You can either edit things here, but you also can arrange things. So let's say I wanted the yellow to actually be at the top of the cheese. If I clicked, tapped here and click send to back, then I wouldn't be able to see the word cheese anymore. If I click bring to front, it'll be there. So sometimes if you put words on your screen first and you want them to be in front of something else like this, you could click on the inspector button to move things either in the front or the back of the presentation. Then if I go here to the lock, if I actually click on if I click on the word cheese and hit the word lock, and now if I go to my hand, but it didn't work, so I'm going to go try it again. So if I click here, click on the word cheese, and I click lock, and I've locked it. No, it's not working for me. Oh, I know what I didn't do. So now if I click like this and I lock these together, now the whole box is locked. If I want it so that I can move the box but not the the word cheese, I could actually click unlock, and now it's unlocked. So again, if you are going to be moving something around, you would want to lock things, and if you're not, you would not want to lock things. So let's just say I have my word cheese here, and that's what I want to do. Now I want to add a new picture. So down here at the bottom, you see how I have Bucky the Badger. If I add Bucky, this is a picture that I already had. I have another option for doing something to an image, and that's to edit it. So when it's in this editing the image pot, I can touch on this lasso button, and I can take my finger, almost like I'm tracing around it, or the other way I tell students to think about it is, think about if you had to cut this picture out with a scissor. You would never just only cut half of it. You would have a beginning and an end, meaning that the beginning would need to meet the end. So what I'm doing right now as I talk to you is I am putting it so that it meets. And then this is kind of cool because now you can have Bucky, but you don't have to worry. Notice how his, with this yellow in the background, you don't have to worry about his shape being a square. So it looks more realistic, like a character. Now, because this cheese box I've made like where I want it to be that Bucky can move, I'm actually going to go back to the inspector button, and I'm going to tap on this, and I'm going to hit lock, because I don't want it to move if I started to touch it. So see here, now I can move Bucky without having to worry about the word cheese from moving. Also, if I go back to that plus button and I take Bucky again, if I didn't want to do that, I just wanted to crop something of him, I can take the cropping tool and I can actually drag it over, and maybe I just want to get the picture of the W. And if I don't like the shape of it, I can play around with it with the dots. These dots that are around the picture help move things around, and then I can hit apply, and then now maybe I want to put this here. So that's how I could do the editing. So again, anytime you put an image down, you can just put it down without doing any kind of editing. You can edit it to take only a piece of the image, or you can cut out a part of the image. It's completely up to you which one you would like to do. So that's using the typing tool. Now, if you ever have something that you don't like let's say, I'm going to go to the box tool again because I want to show you that one. Let's say I put in this triangle, and I touch my finger and I hold it. I realize, I don't like this because it's yellow and I can't see it. I could, of course, go change the color, but another thing I could do is I could click on this X button and tap on the item and then hit the red circle to delete it. So the X is for deleting. So again, now I'm going to go here, and then to stick with my red theme, I'm going to create a red arrow, and now this arrow can be used and turn and stuff to move. The last tool that I'll show you, and then we'll talk about how you would actually record this, is down here. This is the pointer tool. When I touch and hold this, you'll see that you have access to a red dot, a bigger red dot, some triangles, a finger, and then what we call the lightsabers. The bottom row of lightsabers, which would be from Star Wars, those are not ones that you will choose. Those are kind of off limits because they make a noise and they would not be professional for a presentation you'd be making for school. So I'll just show you how a couple of these look. If you were to pick the hand and then you point at anything in your presentation, you can make it more interactive by moving things around and having the hand selected. If you want to change it to a different one to see what it looks like, you can also do the red dot. And again, it's just wherever my finger goes is where that goes. So that's really the basics for how to add images. And again, my first big tip for you with this is figure out what you want to create and set up your slides, much like you would a Google slide presentation with images, the words. But again, less is more. It's more about the main ideas on your slides, and then what you're going to want to do in the background, and you can talk to your teacher about this, is to create a script. And the script would tell you what you're going to say when you do these recordings. So now we're back to slide 1. I went back, and at the bottom you'll notice there's a red target looking button, and that is the record button. If you touch and hold this, this will then start recording right away. So right now you see that it's counting up 0.078. It's recording me right now. And so whenever you're recording, if I had the pointer tool selected, I could say, welcome to Wisconsin, because I knew I already selected that. Now if I want to do something where I want to move something around, I would probably push the pause button, but keep my recording open. I could go to the hand and have the hand selected so that I'm ready to go. Then I hit record again, and now I could have my cow moving, and then I could hit pause. So notice, and this is all the recording that I've done, this is the talking, this is the movement of that one thing, and then you can see that it was a pause, and it just goes right into the next thing where I have the cow moving. So really, all you need to do when you're doing these recordings is you record, stop, and then like, let's say I'm ready to do this again, I hit record, and maybe now I want to move the cow up here. I had the hand selected, maybe I want to go here again, and instead of having it that, I know I want this, so I point at things. It's kind of like having your tools ready to go when you do it. Now, I didn't really care for that last little bit that I did, so I'm going to touch and hold. And I'm going to hit delete. And it only deleted that last piece. So when you do that, it only deletes part. The other thing you can do is, let's say you didn't like what you said at the end of your last clip, you can touch and hold and hit the word split. Then you can touch and hold this and either click delete all from here or just delete because it's already been split. So those are ways that you can edit what you're doing with this. Now, if I'm done with this slide, I can do the arrow forward to get to this next slide. Now for this slide, I know when I get started, I'm gonna wanna use the hand to move the arrow. So I have that ready to go, and then I hit record. Remember, when you hit record, it just starts right away. It doesn't give you a countdown like you might have gotten with some other things. So you'll notice it starts recording. I can move this around and do this. I can move the Bucky, the badger symbol around. Maybe I want to touch this and I want to use a red arrow to point instead of the other kind of arrow. I could point and say, this is Bucky, we love cheese, here's the Wisconsin logo. I'm going to pause it. And then now you can see these are all the movements that I created. And so again, when you create Explain Everything, you can do that. Now, the one last thing I want to show you is you can also actually put in videos. So I'm going to hit the plus button again because I know sometimes you want to demo things. And so if you want to put in a video, if I go to existing image or video, I would go to my videos. And again, my video would be saved here. And I'm going to pick this video. This is from the Schlitz Audubon Center, actually. And if you want, look at here. I can see what the video looks like, and I'm going to click Use Video. When you click Use Video, you actually have the video put into a slide. So if I did this and I wanted to introduce this, I would introduce it and then hit play, and then it would play live while I'm recording it. Now, one little tip I'll give you with that is if you click on the three dots up here in the top corner and go to Settings, one thing you want to make sure you have on is when you go to record, you go down here and it says here, mute microphone while playing. It's under the microphone section. Mute microphone while playing imported video. You want that turned on so it's purple if you're going to play videos in a presentation. If you don't mute the microphone, what happens is you actually get like a feedback where it's like the microphone hears itself and it just sounds weird. So if you're having an issue with sound, turn that microphone on to make sure. Now, so this, I'm going to hit my record button again and I would introduce this. So this is a video at the Schlitz Audubon Center. So that was a video I took of the Schlitz Audubon Center. And that's exactly how you would do it, because look what happens here. Because I muted my microphone, here is me talking to introduce the video. Then this is when I push the play button and the video plays. And then this is when I'm talking again. So this feature would be a great way for you to introduce videos and then talk after videos. If you ever had to videotape something, either on your iPad or you had a video that you put in your Google Drive, whatever the video might be, perhaps it's demonstrating a concept, or again, my project originally was called PE presentation, so maybe it's demonstrating how to do a specific activity or sport. You could use that as well. Now, throughout the process, as you're making your presentation, the last thing I want to show you is when you go to the drop down where it says PE presentation, there's this quick save button. I always like to click that every time I do something new, like a new slide. The quick save, again, is I just go up here and I click quick save, and it will save it. When you're completely done with your presentation, you're going to go up into the top right corner where there's the purple circle with the box, and you're going to click that. You're actually going to want to export your project. I like to do it as a video, and I like to put it right away in my photos. So I can either hit save video down here, or I can say in my photos. I'm just going to click save video because then it's going to put it into my camera roll, and then from there, when it's in your camera roll, it's just saved, and now you don't have to worry about not having it. But what it's doing right now is it's preparing the project and kind of compressing. If you notice in the background, you can kind of see anything I did with movement. You can see I'm on the second slide right now. Bucky's moving around, so it kind of just like compresses everything together into one video. And then now that it's saved into your camera roll, you could either put it onto Seesaw or onto Canvas, or into your Drive. If you're putting it onto Canvas, it might be easier to put it in Drive first. If you're just doing it into Seesaw, you probably wouldn't have to do that. So if I go to my camera roll, here is my video. This is the one I just made. And when I click on the export button, you can see I have some options. I can put it into Drive. I could email it to myself. I can put it right into Seesaw. So ideally, you guys would be signed into Seesaw. You can put it there. You might also be able to put it right into Canvas, but you have to maybe play around with that a little bit. You might have to put it into Drive first. So that's a great way to do it. And then if you do put it into Drive, you want to rename it so you know what it is. And so now, take you back to explain everything real quick. That essentially is explain everything. When you hit projects, all the projects you have will be kind of saved down here. There's also some learning and tutorial stuff in here that will help if you get stuck. Up here in the 3 dots, there's also this Help Center. And the Help Center has a variety of things like basics and stuff to help you if you have questions about what Explain Everything is. And so